I know you mentioned a few here and there from what you were saying, but what are those challenges that are being faced by law students or law student graduates?
Okay, I think the very first challenge that really we can get is that there is no proper platform for them to be able to research. Because law is about research, and once you're a lawyer, the most of your work is research. And we're trying to give that platform to law students to be able to harness their research skills, because you find that in law school, you only have an opportunity to research when you are in your final year. But throughout, you don't have that opportunity to be able to tap into other areas and try to understand what they're more about. Because if you understand something that is very important is that law is very diverse. So we don't learn all the law at our respective universities. Some of the areas we do not learn, and we have to teach ourselves once we are in the field. So the only way you can be able to do so is by research, and we're trying to create that kind of research hub whereby law students will be able to exercise their skills and research into different areas that are untapped. For example, your environment law, your procurement law, your media law and so forth, so that Botswana can also be able to consume such kind of information. In the long run, this helps us to create lawyers who are not just effective but also efficient in what they do, because they are able to research into areas that really Botswana has never been rich in. And also the other thing that we'd like to know is that the practicality of it. Law is not very practical in school, because I don't really know what could be the problem with that. And I can give you an example. For example, you are taught contract law in school. You are not taught how to draft a contract. You are taught about all these laws, but you're not taught mostly how to apply them once you're in the field. So we're trying to create that platform to say, okay, fine, we're going to create a platform whereby law students can just be able to come and harness these skills and nurture them, so that once they leave school, they're ready for the employment. And also the employers can get their value for their money, and also Botswana can be able to get quality legal professionals that are there in the field.
Quite interesting. Now, from what you're saying, one would wonder if employers here in Botswana would recognize FALAS, would recognize that, you know, I went through a FALAS training, I went through that program. Will they be able to recognize that and be like, you know, have it as an added advantage?
I think definitely we've been working with different legal professionals within the fraternity, trying to show them what we're trying to do. Because essentially we're just trying to ensure that we enhance skills of law students, so that whatever they get from school, they get something more. Because for you to be a great lawyer, honestly, it's not about how much you read, but it's about how much you harness your skills to be able to perform well. So I think they would really recognize us, and they've been so supportive of us in our initiatives to be able to succeed in whatever it is that we're trying to do. Previously, earlier this year, we had an event where we hosted different legal professionals, magistrates, lawyers in the field, so that we come and tell them what we intend to do and seek for their support, to say this is what we need your support with, because we as law students, we want to have it easy, really, once we get into the field, once we go on and do other things within the fraternity.
Quite interesting. Now, this brings me to a question I'd like to ask you. In a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate the law fraternity of Botswana? 10 being the best. Okay.
I'd say a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
And really looking at where we are at now, I think it's not like back in the days. And I think even when we were in our classes, we are told like back in the days it was so good as compared to where we are in right now. Because when you look at some of the factors that are involved, factors that are such as like higher classes, or a large number of students in one class in law schools, which makes it difficult for students to be able to learn and have a good relationship with their lecturers to be able to improve on their skills. So I think one can attest that if you are in a class of 2,000 people, that's extreme, but yes, something like that, and then you just have one person who's teaching you, you're not going to be able to get much from them, and you're not also going to be able to give much of yourself, because there is no that interaction between the lecturer and the student. So I'd really say it's kind of declining because of the state that we are in as the education sector of law students, or something like that.
Wow, quite interesting. Now let's get into the upcoming competition, the one that's coming on the 7th. Let's talk about the aims. What are the main aims or the objectives of this particular competition?
Okay, So I think one thing that we can notice is that it's a moot court competition. Simply a moot court competition is what happens in court. So it's more like a hypothetical court. There's a judge, and then the students will be portraying the roles of lawyers. And then, yes, we'll then on the day have actual lawyers or judges of the High Court, magistrates who will then be judges of the day, and then students will be arguing their cases before them. So really the main aims of it, one is to ensure that we help students improve their public speaking skills, or what we may say oratory skills, because there's something in the field which we call litigation. So litigation are lawyers who would then go to court on a frequent basis to represent their clients. So for students who want to venture into such something like that, then they will it will benefit them so much. And then also, one thing that you can realize is the theme of our moot court competition, which is one of our main reasons. It's titled Keeping Tenders Clean. Simply, it's on public procurement in Botswana. So public procurement in Botswana is that area whereby there is government being involved in the selling of goods and services, and then we are trying to ensure that that particular process is very clean and there are no any impurities that manifest within the process, because of also the recent development that has been happening around the area, as a lot has changed in the last 5 years within the procurement space.
Quite interesting. We'll look forward to what's going to come, the outcomes of the competition itself, and maybe we can speak about what happens post the competition. There may be prizes, yes, but what are the expectations from the winners of the competition?
So the expectations really now, what we intend to do based on the theme that we have, is to now get them maybe to write a research paper, and this research paper will then be published to help add on to the literature of public procurement in Botswana. Because when you realize public procurement in Botswana, the sphere changed in 2021 when the Honorable Minister Peggy Serame introduced a bill, the public procurement bill, then, because when we realize is that before the bill, there were two pieces of legislation that governed public procurement, at local government and at central government. And when the bill was introduced, then public procurement began to be governed only by one piece of legislation. So now it meant that there's a lot of changes within the legal framework of public procurement in Botswana, which has raised a lot of controversy. Even in our courts, we can tell in the past 2 years or so, there's been a lot of discordant judgments or disagreements between judges of the same level, like of the High Court, the other one is saying this with respect to the same provisions of the same act. So really now we are trying to get them now to write something so that even probably it will add on to what the judges going forward will decide. So that's why really we are doing this, so that we can add more to the literature and also empower them to be able to harness their research skills.
Quite interesting and quite needed and very plausible, the works that you're doing there, because we're being proactive and we're actually contributing towards the knowledge-based economy that we want in 2036. Well, now that we are nearing the end of our conversation, I'd like for you to just give a brief guide to how one applies to be part of this competition. I've seen that you've been calling for applications there.
Okay, so simply once you're a law student, you just contact us through our WhatsApp numbers to register for the competition. And I think law students have really come in large numbers. There will be 14 teams that will be participating, and so far 13 teams have registered to participate with only one spot that is left. So you can contact 776072 3877607238, or check our social media pages, FALAS Botswana, throughout Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, to inquire about the registration process. But just heads out, there's only one spot left.
There's only one spot left.
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much, Tefo, for making time to be with us this afternoon, and we wish the competition the very best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was Tefo from FALAS Botswana. Of course, we're speaking the law fraternity here in Botswana, and the competition coming up on the 7th. Botswana wetso are change ga se amari hela are change dikakanyo maikuto le boitshwaro are kopane gape moragonyana.
Human-wildlife conflicts have become a threat to natural resources in the northern part of Botswana, especially in areas where human settlements are located and close to wildlife protected areas and game reserves. To control the influx of animals, especially elephants found in these tourism areas, the Botswana government granted rural communities in these areas rights to manage land for wildlife tourism and hunting. The proceeds of these ventures contributed toward community development. The national program, called Community-Based Natural Resources Management (CBNRM), was introduced, and many communities formed community trusts and set up partnerships with trophy hunting operators.